Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes weekly webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm delighted to share a gorgeous collection from our friends at Paper Rose called Lavender and Fairies. And today's money saver will include pattern papers and embossed die cuts, plus some embellishments from Paper Wishes too. So let's take a closer look, and we can begin with our paper pack. So this 6 by 6 inch paper pack contains 18 double-sided pattern papers, 3 each of 12 different designs. So of course everything is totally coordinated. You will have a beautiful soft lavender color palette. You'll also have some nice accenting purple colors in here. Really helps to create a balanced look. And here you'll see you've got some all over designs, you've got some butterflies, some garden imagery. You also have some sheets with cutout images and sentiments too. There's the reverse side of that sheet. So again, 18 double-sided patterned papers there. Then to go along, we have a pack of embossed die cuts with 4 6 by 8 inch sheets of pop-out embellishments. And when I tilt this, I think you can see the shine from the embossing on there. It's just creating some nice subtle highlights. So here are the first 2 of the sheets in the collection. And then here are the second 2. So you can see you've got a nice variety of different sizes, beautiful butterflies and dragonflies, some sweet little fairies in here as well. Really perfect for your card focals or for the inside of your card too. So that is the embossed die cuts. Now today I'm also going to incorporate some chipboard accents from the newsprint floral set. And this contains alterable chipboard elements that really add a beautiful look to your projects. These will also just pop out of that backing sheet and you can alter them as you wish. And of course, hot off the press, they always include a project idea on there as well. Then we also have the Big Greetings Dazzle set, and this is ideal for adding a message on the front or the inside of your card. And I love how hot off the press includes some small accents like the stars and the hearts. Another project idea on here for some inspiration. But of course today we will be all about inspiration with all of our fun things to play with. And this has just been a really great set to work with for today's projects. So I'm really glad that you're here today. I'm super excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start out with a sweet friendship themed card which combines the patterned papers, embossed die cuts, and dazzles. So here I'm using hot off the presses 5 by 6.5 inch blank white cards as my base. Now because the pattern paper is 5 inches square, I'm not able to cover the entire card front with one sheet. So what I've done here is simply trimmed down 2 strips of another pattern paper, in this case this really sweet check design, glued those down along the edge of the folded edge of my card. So the open edge of my card is over here. And then what I've done is simply glued my butterfly pattern paper right in the center, also aligned with the fold of my card. And then that way I can just simply turn this over and use my scissors to trim off that excess cardstock. And the reason that I align the cardstock with the fold of my card is so that I don't inadvertently cut into the fold of the card when I'm trimming off that excess cardstock. Now another little trick, before I glued down my butterfly paper, I inked the top and the bottom edges with the lovely lilac ink pad from Hunky Dory. And then after I trimmed off that excess cardstock, I used that same ink pad to ink around the outside edges of my card. So I've got some nice definition between the 2 pattern papers, and I also have some nice shading around the outside edge of my card. And that lovely lilac ink pad just goes beautifully with today's pattern papers. My card focal has 3 layers, and I'm starting with a rectangle cut from the 12 rectangles and scalloped cutting die set. This is from Hot Off the Press. It is one of my all-time favorite. die sets, I really never put it away. It's always out on my work surface. You can see I've even outlasted the packaging on here. And the reason is because it is so versatile. And it's a great tool to have when you're creating focal areas for various elements for your cards. It creates a nice spotlight image. So here I'm using the straight edge rectangle, which is about 3 inches by 3.5. And then I've got the scallop shape that will go around the outside. So my straight edge is that striped area of the pattern paper. And then the rectangle here has been die cut from some darker purple, kind of tone-on-tone patterned paper. That has been foam taped to the front of the card for a little bit of extra dimension. Then I have this sweet little fairy, which is one of the embossed die cuts, and she's positioned to peek around the card message, which is a dazzle. I've applied that to the dark purple cardstock and then just used scissors to trim around the outside edge. This is also attached with foam tape. So I've got some nice layers between, or some nice dimension between these 3 layers. And then to finish it off, I have a bow tied in purple ribbon. And this is from the purple ribbon pack, also from Hot Off the Press. And together with that lovely lilac ink pad and those pattern papers, you've got some really nice coordinating elements, which make it super easy to create beautiful cards. Then for my card inside, I have some plain lavender cardstock. This is from the Meadow Blooms 12 by 12 cardstock pack. So let me show you this. The reason I chose it is primarily for these beautiful colors here, the lavender and the purple, and then of course these 2 pinks, which go perfectly with today's pattern paper. So does this green. It makes a really nice contrasting color for your matting as well. So another really great way to put those 2 together. I have another really cute little fairy here. I've got a butterfly and a dragonfly. These are all popped up with some foam tape. And it's mostly to accommodate this chipboard floral arrangement here. And this I've just simply colored with the tri-blend markers. And the 2 that I'm coloring with today, let me show you these. I've got the lavender, which I'm using for the flowers, and I've got the pale pink, which I'm using for the leaves. And I opted to use the pale pink for the leaves because although I have a perfect green marker, it would really contrast a little bit more than what I wanted with the all-over design here. I wanted to keep things fairly tone-on-tone here, so I thought I'd go for pink leaves instead of green. But let's talk about using those markers with the chipboard. I'll move aside my card for now. I'm going to bring in this chipboard piece here too. And what I like to do when working with my markers is leave the elements in place in the backing sheet if possible. It just makes it a little easier to color. So again, I'm using the lavender and I've got the pale pink. Now, if you have not worked with the tri-blend markers before, these are really great. They're alcohol-based markers. And what I like is that you're essentially getting 3 colors in one pen. So you can see the 3 bands on here. If I roll this around, you'll see this is light, mid, and dark, which means that I'm getting a light, a medium, and a dark shade of one color. So with these 2 pens, I'm getting 6 colors. And this makes it really nice if you're a basic colorist like me. I just put 1 color down. Or if you like to do some shading and blending, then you've got lots of options there too. So let's take a look here. I think this was the shape that I was working with for the card. So I'm going to start here and I'm just going to color in the leaves and the stem. And I'm using the light of my pale pink. I like to start with that. And the reason that I like to keep the shape or the design in the backing sheet is so that I don't have to try and hold down one element with my finger while I'm coloring. This just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm just putting the color down here. Really quick and easy to do. And realizing that I plan to have that little fairy kind of covering up some of this too. So when I come back in with my lavender, and again I'm using the light of those colors, I'm just going to put the color right down. Quick and easy. And of course you can mix and match your colors. You'll get a very different look if you're using some of the brighter marker colors. And of course if you decide to do some blending in there as well. And the chipboard is of course quite porous. You're going to get a completely different look if you're using the markers on, for example, a glossy cardstock or another kind of porous paper. So there you can see my colors. So I've been using the light of both of those. Now if I wanted to, especially with this lavender, maybe I want to come in with the mid color and add a little bit more shading around the outside edge of some of these flowers. Let's do it with the one down here. And I'll come around like so. And then here is the dark. Let's see what this will look like if I add in some dark. Suddenly you can see where this is really, especially with this large flower here, you can see where this is really accenting around some of the detail here. So really nice and easy way to personalize these chipboard pieces. So then when I've got this all colored as much as I want, then I just need to pop this out from the backing sheet. Now when you're gluing something like this down, I really recommend using a plain white craft glue, but also combining it with the fine tip glue applicator. And this is my go-to because you've got this precision tip here and it's easy to get just the right amount of glue where you want it to go with that fine tip nozzle. And then let's see, I'll flip this one around and glue it in place. And here you can see how pretty the chipboard looks just on its own without any coloring on it at all. And this will hold it in place without glue sort of going everywhere there. So coming back to our card, and again back to the inside, you can see where I've covered this up, a portion of this, with those sweet little butterfly, or the sweet little fairy wings. And then also the butterfly, the dragonfly here. I've got some more dazzles. I've got a kind of an extra dazzle from the set just placed down here. This dazzle has been backed onto some dark purple cardstock from the cardstock set, the Meadow Blooms cardstock set, and then just glued down in place. And then another look at the front of the card so you can see again just how easily all of these elements come together. I absolutely love how many butterflies you get in the embossed collection. Not just large ones like this one, but a range of other sizes and variations on the lavender color. You can use them singly or in groupings as I've done here. This card layout is really simple, and here's another little tip. You're not only getting lots of butterflies in the embossed collection, but you're getting dragonflies too in a variety of sizes, including one that's about the same size as this butterfly, which I used on another card. So you could easily swap out the dragonflies and the butterflies just depending on who you're giving the card to. So here I've covered the top third of the card front with the dark purple cardstock, and then the bottom area with this check design. I love the choices of lights and darks in this collection. I really like working with tone-on-tone papers anyway, so this is a real treat for me to have so many beautiful options. After gluing the papers down, I added this floral border strip. Now this is from the sheet of cutouts from the paper pack. And this helps to create a visual space between the two patterns. Because these are both geometrics, it's a nice balance to work in a floral pattern. Everything has been inked with the lilac ink pad, including this strip here. And I've also added some inking to the chipboard message and to this leaf element. And this is done with two steps. First with the pale pink marker and then also with the gold Delicata ink pad. Now this is a pigment ink pad and this is an alcohol marker, and the two of them can indeed be used on a porous chipboard element. So let's take a look at that. First I'll move aside my card and I will bring in one of the chipboard elements. Now because the ink pad is fairly large, I wouldn't be able to do my inking while keeping this element still in the rest of the background sheet without getting this ink on everything else too. So I've kind of trimmed this out, but I did leave a little area for my finger to go so that I can hold everything down in place. And with this one, I'm going to use the darker of the three shades in here. And you can see how nice this color is as I'm just basically coloring this in. So no shading or anything here, just a straight application of the color. And you can see that there's definitely a difference between the dark and the light shade of this. So I'm going to kind of scribble this on here as I'm working, as I'm holding this down. And then I'm going to add my gold on top. So I don't have to be too careful about going around these detailed areas here. Now keeping this on my scrap piece of paper, I'm going to take my Delicata ink pad and I'm going to simply press this down. Now I'm not trying to obliterate the pink color, but I do want to enhance it with a little bit of that gold on there. This is going to give me kind of a distressed effect. Now, because this is a pigment ink pad, I do need to let it dry. Give it a couple of minutes. You can also give it a quick zip zap with a heat tool if you want to. And then go ahead and glue that down onto the front of your card. So I did the same technique for both the leaves as well as the words on there. And I've got a nice kind of a vintage or shabby chic shine on there. I really like that effect. So again, with the Delicata ink pad and that pale pink marker. And then of course I've got my butterflies. These have been popped up with some foam tape. Then for my card inside, I have a dot paper. I love this dot paper. I just think it's such a sweet pattern. And I added a layered scalloped rectangle of patterned papers, plus another inked chipboard message and another large butterfly. Fairies and flowers go together perfectly, and the flower pot cutting die is a great way to create a fun and unique card base. So I've got my flower pot shaped card, and then tucked inside I have a little tag, again decorated with some more of the fairy elements. This sweet little fairy here and her butterfly friend. And this is such an easy card to put together, and I think one that's really eye-catching too. So I'll move these aside and we can take a look at how I've put this together. Really quick and easy. So this is the die that I'm working with. You can see the sample design that Hot Off the Press always provides for you. You've got three elements here. So this is your flower pot, this is your card base, and then this is the tag that goes inside, and this is a decorative element there. So if I flip this over, of course, you can see not only more of the card project, also your diagram and your step-by-step instructions on there. But again, it's super simple to do. So let's take a look first at our flower pot. So this is the main die piece. And what you're going to do is take your folded blank card and you can simply position this down. I'm aligning the bottom of the flower pot with the fold of the card. So this is really important because this is going to be the fold of your card here. So I just position this down, secure it down with a little bit of low tack tape and run it through my die cutting machine. And then I will have a piece that looks like this. So again, the fold is at the bottom. Then what I can do is glue the two sides together. Now, if I'm going to have something like this tag here, which I've got lots of elements on there, this is popped up with some foam tape. So I know that I want to have a little bit of accommodation space-wise in here. So I'm using foam tape to secure those two sides down. Now when you put your tape down, or even if it's double-sided adhesive, take the tag die and just make sure that you are leaving enough space on there for that tag to go into. And then you'll simply put your adhesive down there and secure that together, and you have kind of a pocket, I guess you would say. Then from there, of course, you've got your tag shape that you could die cut from a separate piece of cardstock. You also have this decorative top, and that will just go at the top of your flower pot if you want it to. And what you can do, what I like to do, is die cut one shape from one color and then mat it onto a contrasting cardstock color so that you're getting a little bit of dimension in there too. And then you just glue those together. It could not be simpler. So I've covered the front of my card base with the light dot pattern paper, and the top rim, which is underneath all of these flowers, this is cut from a light cardstock and then backed with a darker tone to stand out along that scalloped edge. Then I have a focal, and I'm using the square and scalloped dies for this to create kind of a spotlight area for my dazzle message. And you'll notice that I backed 2 of the hearts in this sentiment with a light lavender cardstock. I also have a small butterfly here and this darling little fairy. Then at the top we have all of these flowers, which are die cut from the dies in the flower pot set. So you're getting all of these flower shapes in that die set as well. I would suggest that these flower dies can work for lots of projects, even without the flower pot. So I die cut them from a variety of cardstock patterns and some solid cardstock, and then tucked in some of the chipboard foliage here, which I did not ink or color. So I like this kind of bone color, this nice off-white color that they already are. They blend in here really nicely. And then for my tag, I've simply combined the dark purple check paper with some light solid lavender cardstock. And then I've got our cute little fairy along with a foam taped butterfly. So it kind of looks like she's holding the butterfly in place. And the dream message is one of the cutouts from the paper pack, and it's been inked and foam taped in place. And of course I've got a couple of dazzle hearts in here too. Our final card project is a tuxedo style card, and this creates a really fun dimensional design that looks great when it's standing up and on display. Let's take a look at the die that I've used to make this card. So it's the tuxedo box die. As you can see here, you've got 3 metal shapes. Again, another card project here on the front. When I flip this over, you'll see the written instructions here, as well as your assembly diagram, but this could not be simpler. So let's take a look. After you die cut your 3 shapes from whatever cardstock or patterned paper you want to use, you will have a piece that's the base, and then this crossbar, and then you'll have the front as well. So the trick to keep in mind when you're gluing this crossbar shape down, it's going to look like this, and you'll just fold the tabs up like so. You want to glue this positioned 2 3/4 inch from the bottom of this card base. So if you adhere that in place, fold up your score lines. It's going to go like so. And then your front area here, also you're going to have some score lines that you can fold back, and the center will fold up too. Then just grab your adhesive and you glue the 2 of these together like so. And then you will have your tuxedo style, and then this bar here is where you can adhere your focal element. So again, let's take another look at our card. And you can see that I've die cut the card base from purple cardstock. And then the front is die cut from this check design. And the check design, of course, has the butterflies on the other side. Now, because the flaps will fold over, when you're choosing your pattern papers, do be sure to double check the pattern before you're cutting to make sure the design is what you want to show and that it reads the right way when you fold over those flaps. Then at the bottom, I have the scalloped edge, which I made with the largest die in the rectangle scallop set. So as we were talking about the usefulness of that nested rectangle set, this is one of my favorite ways to use it. So I've just got a strip of plain cardstock, and I position this in place, just taking advantage of this long edge. Run that through my die cutting machine, and then I will have a border that looks like this. And then from this border, I can simply glue it onto the bottom of my card. And this works to add a really nice touch to just about any of your cards. And then I've got that glued down here. I've added a butterfly, and then I've got a leaf that has been colored with the green turquoise marker. The card focal is a layered scalloped rectangle of cardstock with the cutout sentiment in the center, accented with the dragonfly. Here's that large dragonfly I mentioned earlier. And I've got a chipboard flower, which is colored with the pale pink and the green turquoise markers. I also have a dazzle motif here and a little heart dazzle backed with purple cardstock. And that is our final card project of the day today. So a big thank you to our friends at Paper Rose for today's beautiful collection. I really had so much fun playing with these designs and creating card projects for you. And a special thanks to you for joining me today. We're always so glad that you're here, and we're happy you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.